It turns out Soviet grocery stores still don't work, with Kansas City poised to shutter its city-run grocery store after dumping tens of millions trying to keep it alive. Only they had tried real socialism. With New York now poised to imitate Kansas City under their hammer and sickle mayor Mamdani, the beleaguered citizens of Gotham can look forward to perhaps hundreds of millions dumped into their locally sourced Marxist money holes. With Mamdani running 81% odds of winning on prediction market Kalshi, he'll probably get his chance. Now, considering New York has 8 million people jammed into a postage stamp, you'd think businesses might open grocery stores in New York. Alas, they don't because of predatory taxes, Kafkaesque regulations and permits, and New York's very loving attitude toward shoplifters. So instead of improving the business environment, or like arresting shoplifters, Mamdani wants government-run grocery stores. You'd think this would be an obviously bad idea since the Soviets tried for 80 years. Of course, Mamdani was educated in elite schools, so he wouldn't know about such things. Happily, we have a recent example in the fair burg of Kansas City, which was once a byline for prosperity. During World War II, the great Senator Wary of Nebraska famously advocated saving China, so, quote, "With God's help, we will lift Shanghai until it's just like Kansas City," which is probably terrifying to your Shanghai friends. Because KC ain't what it used to be. Progressive tax, regulation, and lack of police have driven out the middle class. Kansas City's population is lower than it was 50 years ago, while the American population nearly doubled. Downtown is hollowed out, businesses and jobs fled to the suburbs. This led to entire neighborhoods without large grocery stores, in response to which the city took over a struggling store, poured in $7 million to renovate it, and then handed operations to a, quote, equity and advocacy NGO who knew nothing about grocery stores. They went on to squander another $29 million in city money, driving it into the ground. Weekly customers went from 14,000 to just 3,000. Why? Because shelves are empty, produce is moldy, customers complain how the whole place smells like rotten meat. Now, that should not be surprising. Grocery stores are a well-oiled machine running on profit margins of 1 to 3 pennies on the dollar. It would be surreal if Team Equity and Advocacy even began to understand how to run one. Of course, other government-run organizations like public schools are far more complex than a grocery store. We can only imagine how much better they would be if they too were not Soviet-style enterprises. Perhaps kids could even do long division. So as next, brought to you by I Trust Capital. Bravely ignoring reality, New York's Mamdani is already suggesting a pilot of 5 public groceries with more on the way, suggesting several hundreds millions of losses and lots of moldy meat. New York State Comptroller recently warned New York City is headed for annual deficits of as much as $13 billion, thanks to already out-of-control social spending. Mamdani hand waves that tax hikes will cover it all, which is exactly what Kansas City said before their middle class fled to the suburbs. The good news is these failed Marxist experiments serve as a warning. The bad news is KC just gave us one, and progressives are pretending it didn't happen. Okay, we'll be watching. See you next time.